Very nice to meet you. I really want to thank you for taking some time to talk to me. Um, I would love to start this conversation just to give you an opportunity to tell anybody that might be watching this, a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how you came to be involved with the Intellect Project.
Okay, well, my name is Lisa Bolton. I I am a child care director by my career trade for the last 40 years. I started out in New Jersey where I had my children, and my daughter Carrie overdosed in 2015. So we took this has took taken me on a journey that I never expected, not that any of the parents expect to go on this, but her dad and I got divorced when she was a teenager. I'm remarried actually to my high school sweetheart. Um, and we moved down to Florida during the later years of her addiction. But I have now I'm still a director here in Florida, but I am also a grief counselor and a board certified mental health coach. And I've done the suicide training, and I've done anything and everything that could possibly be related to addiction or mental health issues. I've taken it, and I've got that little certificate on the wall that I can't actually show you because I'm in my office at the school. I have to be careful of what's in the background. Um, but I mean, it's basically it. I was born and raised in New Jersey. Spent a couple years in North Carolina with my husband, and now we're down here in Florida. Carrie was born and raised and died in New Jersey. So I mean, we were Jersey girls, kind of a little out of place down here.
Yeah, I understand. I did want to ask Lisa, in my experience, I always forget to ask this until the end of these conversations. Do you have something you could like prop your phone up against instead of holding it during the call? Just because sometimes all the movement can just be a little distracting.
Um, Let me try. Let's see if this will work.
And if not, that's okay. I just wanted to ask.
One of the kids, we have graduation this weekend or Thursday, and one of
Oh
the
man,
kids.
you got a crazy. You we could have done this anytime. We have to do a graduation week.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just got back to Jersey. We have graduation this week. And then next weekend, we're going to Massachusetts. So, yeah, it's busy. I thought he was going to work, but apparently, oh, wait, maybe. Okay.
Perfect. That's great. That's great. Now, I'm curious about all of the mental health work and all the stuff. How much of that, were you already doing before you lost Carrie?
None.
Wow. So it all started after this. Yeah.
As a
Well,
director, as a
yeah.
director, I would have thought that I was a counselor because of the way parents and stuff come in, but I didn't get officially certified or anything until after I lost.
Wow. And was your purpose of that like you just wanted to do anything you can to try and help other parents not go through this? Was that kind of what you were
Yeah,
thinking?
I have been there now, unfortunately, for that scream, that mom that loses their child. I've held their hand. I've been there. I've heard that scream one too many times, and I know that my husband heard that from me that day. Um, it's the worst sound you could hear is a mother, well, any parent, but mostly a mom, because we birth to them, carry them, we give birth to them, and then let's face it, we do a lot more sometimes. So any dad that's watching this, I'm sorry, please don't take offense to that. But most of the moms are the ones that will do all the running because dad is the breadwinner and he's out working. And moms that are the breadwinner, please don't take offense to that. I'm old. So I grew up in a time where mom was the nurturer, dad was the breadwinner.
I'm laughing because I am a stay-at-home dad. Of course.
Of course. Oh, that's right. Sometimes the roles are reversed, but it's never want I never want another mom or dad or sibling or grandparent to in this group. I never wanted to be part of this group. This was never a group I wanted to join. I never in a million years dreamed that I would be in this. Um, and I don't want that for others, but also I don't, if Kerry's story can get out there, if what we have been through can get out there and save one life, just one, then I think her purpose and my purpose here is done. It's fulfilled.
Well, with all of the experience and education you've had since her death, you're more aware than most probably that it's that stigma, it's that shame that is the most, well, one of the most dangerous parts of this. Same with suicide. It's really like, there's help out there, but if you're too embarrassed to go get it, or you're ashamed to go get it, it's trouble.
Absolutely. It's been 5.5 years since I lost her. And I not that long ago, I maybe about a year ago, I was actually asked, Carrie wasn't my first loss. I lost and a son to stillbirth, little stepdaughter to a rare form of autoimmune encephalitis in 2015. And then I lost DJ in 89. I lost Quinn in 2015. And I lost Carrie in 2019. So I'm no stranger to child loss. I will say that Carrie's has been the most devastating because Carrie was avoidable, preventable. Had she known where to go, and had we known, had her dad and I known the stuff that we know now, back then when she was going through it, things may have been different. There may have been a different outcome. Maybe not. I don't know. We never know. But and I think I just lost my train of thought. Oh, so about a year ago, somebody came up to me at an infant and child loss event that I was doing. And I was telling the story about DJ and Quinn and Carrie. And when I got to Carrie's story, the mother was so shocked wasn't really the word, but neither is angry, somewhere like in between, and said, "Oh my God, you're not embarrassed to tell that story?" And I said, "Wait a minute, why would I be embarrassed? Carrie lived on this earth for 26 years. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed at how she died. She initially, and I'll tell people, yes, because people argue with me all the time. Well, it was a choice. Okay. The first one she used was a choice. I'll give you that. But then after that, the choice became a need, and the need became something that rewired her brain, and then it took her. But she didn't wake up one day and say, "Hey, today I think I'm going to start using drugs. And in about 6 years, I'm going to turn my parents' worlds upside down. My brother's going to be the one that finds me, and I'm gonna just ruin their lives and make them sad forever." That's not what any person does that's struggling with substance use disorder or mental health issues.
Yeah. Well, I think every time I get the opportunity to talk with somebody that has lived through this, that is so open to talk about it, I think it inspires more people to embrace that and also be open to talk about it. And I do think that saves lives. And I do think Light Project is saving lives. And I tell Teresa that most of the times that I talk to her. I myself, I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery about 5.5 years. Thank you. Thank you. My wife is in recovery. She's been in recovery about 8 months longer than me.
Awesome.
We would not be married. We would not have a beautiful daughter. We would not have, the life that we have. There's just no way. And it's, we were, we were like drinking buddies and party friends before. And it's an incredible transformation, and we owe our lives to it. And, I share that as much as I can with everybody that I can, because I never know who's struggling. People are very good at hiding things. Very, very good.
You want to talk about, you don't know. My battery died in my car. Or I knew it was about to die. So I left church one Sunday and I flew into the AutoZone because I'm like, I know it's a battery. I've done this before. And being in Florida, apparently we go through car batteries a lot more than other states. That's what I'm told. Don't know how true it is, but that's what I'm told. So I pull in, and this young kid is, and I say kid because I'm closer to 60 than I am than I want to admit. But he comes out, and I don't know. I don't even know how it started. We just started this conversation, and the next thing I know, I find out he's been in recovery for 8 years, and he's got this beautiful little girl just like you, and his wife and him have been together forever. And the story just went on and on and on. And I told him all about Carrie, told him all about the organizations that I've created. and how often, and I actually invited him to come to our recovery event and speak, and he was all excited. And it's just like you said, you never know. So anything you have to share, Carrie, because this isn't about me or about me talking to somebody. This is about every time I do this, it's her legacy living on. This is all for her. Go push her out and then say to her, it's supposed to be you down here, not me. But that's,
It's an understandable thought.
thank you for
Um,
leaving that to me.
yeah. I would love to know, just, again, it sounds like you've gotten really, really involved in recovery work. And I'd love to know, what kind of set Intellite Project apart from some of the other organizations that you may have worked with, or, I ask this question a lot and I'm always kind of surprised by what I hear. So,
um, it was a way to get her out there. It was a way for the public to see her. Because, like I said, anytime that I could get the picture out there, or I could get the message that she wanted spread out there, it's always about her. But that Teresa, the Instant Light display was a select group of people who were able to tell their story or tell their children's story and bring bring awareness, because of where it was displayed. So it was not it was about having Carrie up there, out there, and showing people, look, my child, she lives, she existed. You're not going to just, and I've had family members that have said, like, when are you going to get over it? And there is no getting over it. My daughter is gone, and I'm never going to, God willing, I'm going to be reunited with her one day. But right now, that's not a real big consolation. She's not here. So anytime I can get her out there and be like, look, she lives, she's alive, even if it's not here on this physical plane. But then the message that Teresa was trying to get across, and the display, and a lot of our organizations have the banners and the posters, and there's a lot of people involved on it. This was a very small, I want to use the word humble display, because you had to, write the story, you had to send it in, and you had to get chosen to have your child up there. And we actually were in Florida, even though Carrie died in New Jersey. She had been down here in Florida for a couple of years. I lived in Florida. So her display went up down here in Florida. I don't even know if there has been in New Jersey yet.
I think that there has been one in New Jersey, now that you say that, actually. Um, yeah, I came in involved in the Delaware exhibition. I'm one of the portrait artists. That was my initial role. And yeah, it's incredible work. I mean, it's incredible work. I've been doing portrait art since the pandemic, since 2020, and was primarily doing people's pets, because that's what people were wanting to spend money on. And so this opportunity from Teresa to get to know so many incredible families and to get to honor these amazing people, it's been one of the most rewarding things in my life. And I think I've done 56 or 57 portraits since the Delaware exhibition. And then I wanted to just get more involved. I was like, what more can I do? How can I do this? So I've started volunteering and doing social media and wanting to talk more to people. And honestly, every time I have these conversations, it's so impactful to my own sobriety. And it's, it really is. I feel like I'm finally kind of, it's the thought I'm trying to have. I feel like I'm doing much more active work in my sobriety. I think, instead of going to a meeting here or there, or talking to a sponsor here or there, it's really like daily work. When I'm not talking to incredible people like you, I'm doing this portrait work, and I'm getting to read all about these amazing people and try and capture, their essence and who they are. So many of them are so similar to me. I think, people that are kind of geared towards addiction there's a lot of similar personality traits.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I very frequently see a lot of myself in the portraits that I'm drawing, in the people that I'm drawing. And I don't know, it's such a gift. But I I know that one of the big things I talk to people is that, Intellite is really, it's so just so much all about that idea of like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
We have to tell these stories, and people need to understand that this is nothing to be embarrassed about, and that these are amazing people that were
Well,
lost.
like you were saying, your work in helps with your recovery. And I tell, and it's not, I'm not putting down the DARE program or any other program out there in any way, shape, or form, but Carrie was in 5th grade when she went to the program, and my son Kevin 3 years later. And it is starting in middle school, there's no doubt. But when you ask Carrie what she learned in the DARE program, it was the cute cop that had just graduated from the academy that was up there that gave her award. If you asked my son 3 years later, he would tell you that Miss New Jersey gave him his award. And I will not tell you, because it's probably not appropriate, the description that my 5th grade son used about Miss New Jersey giving him the award. So that's what my children took away from DARE. So, and I'm not saying that they didn't learn anything, but DARE for however many weeks it goes, and they give a little certificate and they go about their way. Now, my children had parents that absolutely would have given, whether we were together or not. It was, we were giving the shirts off our backs for them. We would trade places with them, with him, with her at any time. So it wasn't like even after divorce that she didn't have 2 loving parents. Plus, you add to the mix a stepmom, a stepfather, 3 more stepsisters, and another stepbrother. So she went from a little family to a bigger family with more people to love her. Step grandparents, step aunts and uncles. Her stepmom's brother and her just adored each other. So, and he was at my event this past weekend, and it was that. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. So she went from this little group that loved her to this big group that loved her, and so that's, everybody's like, well, it's the family, it's the family. It's not the family, because she was raised in their household for most of her life, with her mom and dad being married, who provided anything she needed and loved her beyond ourselves. And she went through DARE, and she was a 4.0 college graduate. She had a BA in forensic psychology. She taught yoga. She was going to go back to school to get her yoga instruction. And here's where I'm going to sound like every other parent. She had the biggest smile, the most infectious laugh. You talk to all of us, we will all tell you the same thing. A personality that lit up the room, a person that would have given the shirt off her back. But I say to people all the time, we, the parents, are your best resource. We have a problem down in Florida with getting into the schools, because my partner in my nonprofit, we're trying to get into the schools to talk to people. But that is the biggest problem, because of the stigma that we were talking about before. We can't get in. We've had one local high school, Leesburg High School here in Leesburg, who have let us in and have invited us back. They are the only school in these counties that has, I mean, the principal was phenomenal. He couldn't wait for us to come. He was like, absolutely, I think this is a great idea. We went in with another organization called Angels Across America. They have a big trailer that's wrapped with all the faces. So we set that trailer up in the middle of the courtyard, and the kids came out at lunchtime. We gave out information and we talked. Those are the things that are going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
You can have the DARE program, but at the end of the DARE program, before graduation, call me, and I can grab you 5 moms, probably in any state, if you call me, that I know because of the support groups, and get you moms that will go up there and will give you real life experience, because DARE doesn't prepare you. What you talk to, none of you, there is no preparation for this. But if you get a parent that comes, and my opening line is usually, how many of you say not my child? And every hand goes up in the vicinity. And I'm like, yep, needs to be you. And now I look at an urn every night. There's a word in there that I won't use because we're going to be on YouTube, but every night I look at her urn, because I was that parent. She went through the DARE program. She had 2 parents that loved her. We would have done anything for her. She's a college graduate. She was an artist. She was a writer. And she's still dead, because I said, not my child, until one day it was my child. And now I look at an urn, and my goal is not to have another parent go through that. Not to have, and as a child care director, I work with a lot of children in this area that are being raised by their grandparents or in the foster care system, which, is a whole nother topic. But yeah. So I don't, and these kids are being cared for and they're falling through the cracks because we do have a system that is run poorly. And they're in other care because their parents are incarcerated or their parents have died, or for some reason it's suicide or it's mental health issues or it's drugs. And we've got a whole older generation now raising a generation that they shouldn't be raising. Not because they can't, just because it's not fair. We've got families, grandparents going through their retirement funds to raise, or I'm sorry, to bail their children out or to raise their grandchildren. I had a great grandmother here raising 3 of her great grandchildren because the parents were not available. That's sad. And what is that saying? It's saying that we're not getting the message out. So we need to do things like this. We need to get that message out. This is what is out there. If you can't find something, here's a list of people you can call that can guide you into the right direction. And that's how I have been able to. I'm not gonna lie, the first 2 years was a freaking nightmare after I lost her. But that's how I've survived. That's how the people that I work with have survived their losses, because we turn pain into legacy. I think that's what somebody said over this weekend, and I thought it was great. But it's it's not just a way of keeping her alive, it's a way of dealing with the grief and the guilt, because the parent, even 6 years into this, you look at the picture one night or you look at the urn one night and you go, what could I have done to save her? And a lot of times I'll hear her say, Mom, you couldn't have saved me. I couldn't save myself. But it doesn't change the fact that I was the mom. And I wish there was some key piece that I would have known in advance to be like, nope, we're not going to do that night. But there wasn't. And I guess that was her path. And now this is mine, which I will yell about later.
Well, I would love to hear you tell me a little bit about, I've had a lot of parents talk about being able to physically go in and visit the portrait, while it was hanging. Is that something you did while it was exhibited, and what was that like?
3 times I went to see the exhibit, 3 times. Um, or every time was as overwhelming as the third time, I don't know if that really counts, because the third time was when it was gifted to us. So, but it was just as overwhelming the first time as it was the day of the gifting, because the statement of these 41, right? 41 faces that are staring at you as you're walking through the story. And because they're local kids, like I knew most of the moms that were there that day. And yes, we see them on the banners and we see them, but we were standing there as a group to have this monumental honor thing, ceremony, and it was phenomenal. So when I first walked in, her last name is Fernley, so she was pretty close to the beginning of the display, and I kept trying in my head to remember all the kids that would have been ahead of her based on the moms that I knew, so that I would be prepared for when she came up. But that didn't happen the first time. So when I saw the portrait and I saw people staring at, that was very overwhelming. It knocked the wind out of me for a couple of seconds. And then I stood there and I had this moment of pride. And people think that people don't understand. And the pride is because she's in this display and she's making a difference. And her story makes a difference. And her story could save a life. So I had this, I'm like, okay, I refuse to let her die in vain. So this is it. She's up there on this wall and she's going to make a difference, because people are going to see this and be like, oh, I know her. I saw her here, 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 and here. Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely. No, it makes a ton of sense. And it's similar to what I've heard a lot of other people say. And I've one of the first conversations I had was with the mom, Erlene, and her son, Nicholas, was in the Delaware exhibit. And she talked about how it was just so amazing to go to this quiet, like almost kind of like holy feeling kind of place, to be able to sit and visit, with her son, and how she really felt like his spirit was there and was present. And it was just really, it kind of dawned on me that that's got to be pretty incredible. And every single parent that I've spoken to has been proud of their child being in this exhibit.
I like that description though, because it was a calm and serene, and it was like she was, I always feel her presence. Anytime I do something, I feel her presence. That particular night, I could hear her being like, and Mom, come meet Ryan and come meet.
Yeah, the other kids, yeah.
It was really neat.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to bring it to a close because I feel like we've already hit the 30-minute mark, and I feel like I could talk to you all day, but we want to be mindful that, we want this to be a watchable amount of time. What would you say to, a family that, is kind of thinking about getting involved with Insulate, but maybe hesitant, maybe they're feeling embarrassed to put a child out there, or for whatever reason, I'm just would love to give you the opportunity to talk to that person, who's kind of like on the edge, on the fence.
Right. Don't be embarrassed. There is no embarrassment. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Your child lived, child existed. Your child was here. Your child is still here. Be proud, because in that display, like I said, in that display, I felt like, wow, she's going to make a difference. Ignore the stigmas, ignore the judgment. Even before we lost our kids to overdose, there was stigmas and there were judgments, and there was, like, oh, she misbehaved in the supermarket. Oh, that parent isn't disciplining the right way. We live with that stuff every day of our lives. This is no different. Only this our child's not physically here to help us. So I have a friend that has a group, and it always sticks out to me, where she said, you may have already talked to her, so when I say it, you may know who I'm talking about. She says she taught the world about her son, or she taught her son about the world, and now she has to teach the world about her son.
I love that.
Sees this, she'll know who I'm talking about. I won't embarrass her by mentioning her name, but I've always loved that. And that's how she closes everything that she does. But it's right. We taught you guys to go out there and rule the world. And since you can't do it, now we have to teach the world why you're not out there. And we have to change the stigma. We have to raise the awareness, and we have to educate our communities. And the only way we can do that is by doing these projects, is by putting them up on the wall and into the light, putting them on the traveling memorial, putting them on the banners. That's the only way. The banners went to the wall, they had banners lined up on the wall, and I could feel like Carrie's excitement going, look, I made it to Arizona, with all my new friends. And it's real. Like, we did our event this weekend, and the banners were hanging up, and somebody walked over because they saw their child on the banner. And she was so excited. It was like, and maybe he was, I don't know. It was like her son was standing there, and she ran down the hill to the banner and, hugged the banner. And maybe she did see, I'm not sure. But it was a wonderful thing to see, because that's what we have left. So that's what that means to us. So don't be afraid to get them out there. Get them out there. Make people uncomfortable. Make them uncomfortable enough to help us in this fight, to want to do something so that we can save a life, 5 lives, 10 lives, and we can stop losing thousands every year.
Hundreds a day.
Yeah. 30 to 150 a day. Carrie died in January of 2019. She was one of over 3,000 people to die from an opioid overdose in just New Jersey in 2019. That's an incredible,
beautiful people. Well, Lisa, I haven't said it yet, and I don't want to let the whole conversation go by without saying I'm sorry that you lost your daughter.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for speaking out and not being ashamed. You're doing amazing work, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. And I think we can just leave it at that.